The bomb blast in Omagh has killed at least 26 people, including an 18-month-old child. Scores more are injured in hospital. A dissident Republican group calling itself the Real IRA has said it was responsible. The RUC Chief Constable, Ronnie Flanagan, said the warning was deliberately misleading. Good evening. The RUC has said 26 people have now died in this afternoon's bomb in Omagh. 5 of the victims died in hospital. The dead include women and an 18-month-old child. Dozens of injured people were taken to the Tyrone County Hospital in Omagh. The blast occurred at about 3:10. The RUC Chief Constable, Ronnie Flanagan, said he couldn't come to any conclusion other than the warning was deliberately misleading. The area was crowded with shoppers at the time. This attack is the worst atrocity of the Troubles in the north. It's believed that the dissident Republican group calling itself the Real IRA planted the bomb. The group, which supports the 32-county Sovereignty Committee, is believed to have less than 100 members.
The massive car bomb in Omagh exploded at 3:10 in the heart of the town's busy shopping area at the junction of Drumragh Avenue and Market Street. A telephone warning earlier saying the bomb was at the courthouse 400 yards away meant that many people were evacuated from the courthouse end of the town and inadvertently walked straight into the path of the bomb. People who were on the scene almost immediately described what they saw as a battlefield with bodies lying on the road and in and around the shattered buildings. Rescuers tore hoardings off windows to use as makeshift stretchers. So great was the number of the casualties, 2 buses were used to ferry those who could walk to the Tyrone County Hospital.
It was actually horrible to actually look at it.
How many people did you?
I seen at least 20 people, all just lying there. I mean, people are asking me for help, and there was one lady, her arms were just hanging off, and I mean, there's nothing I could do, you know. You just felt helpless, you know, saying to them, the ambulance is coming now. And actually the shock, but I escaped. I was so lucky, sitting at those lights 10-15 yards away. My car's in ruins just.
Well, I was possibly 100-150 yards from the scene of the bomb. I was driving my car in Drumragh Avenue, intending to head uptown whenever there was a massive explosion, and I saw debris flying and terrible smoke coming from, obviously, the bomb. So at that stage, nobody was able to drive any further, so we abandoned vehicles and ran to the corner and ran to the scene, and the scene was utter carnage. It was just a battlefield. There were scores, and I mean scores, of injuries. There were people lying everywhere on the ground. There were people screaming. There were children screaming for their parents. People running in all directions. And obviously there had been heavy structural damage to 2 or 3 or 4 shops in that particular area, and it was obviously there were people in those shops, and possibly some of the casualties were in those shops or emerging onto the street from those shops when the bomb did go off.
Look, I simply cannot find words, and there isn't anybody who could find words to describe the horror that has been inflicted on the people of Omagh today. Because this is an attack not carried out against the police or the army, not carried out against the peace process or anything else. This is an attack carried out against the people of Omagh. We've had men, women and children slaughtered here this afternoon. Slaughtered by murderers who wanted to murder. Slaughtered by murderers who have nothing else to offer, only murder. People who give us a totally inaccurate warning. People who phoned a call to say that there was a bomb close to the courthouse, and as our officers searched and moved people from the area of the courthouse, a bomb detonated some 400 yards away. Detonated amongst men, women and children out shopping.
As the clearance operation continues here in Omagh this evening, the full scale of the carnage and devastation caused is becoming only too clear. It's now emerged that amongst the many dead and injured were women and small children who just a few hours ago were shopping in these shops behind me here for back-to-school uniforms. Brendan Wright, RTE News in Omagh.
And Brendan Wright is still in Omagh. Brendan, the people of Omagh must be struggling to come to terms with this atrocity tonight.
Well, and you can imagine for a town like Omagh, it's a small country town, a prosperous town in recent years, very good record of community relations, mixed community, both sides get on very well. We've had to move a little bit away from the scene of the attack to do this, but down at the roped off area, lots of people numbed, shocked, clearly disbelieving that this has happened. Traumatic scenes too of people arriving at the police cordon, still unsure if their relatives may have been involved. As you already know, huge number of casualties, a huge number of fatalities, and also I understand quite a number of small children. It's really the horror story of the trouble so far.
Well, it seems clear tonight that responsibility for the atrocity lies with the dissident Republican group, the Real IRA.
Yes, it does, certainly. Down here we haven't heard any claims that there have been any made, but the modus operandi would lead one to believe that it was one of the dissident groups that carried this out. We've had, in fact, just a fortnight ago, there was a similar car bomb in Banbridge in County Down, believed to be the work of the Republican dissidents. There were no serious injury there, of course, but in the past month there's been this pattern. There was Market Hill, Newton Hamilton rather, where we've had the same type of bomb, and there is a big suspicion shared, I have to say, by the RUC Chief Constable Ronnie Flanagan. You've heard about the first warning that said the device was at the courthouse. That's 200 to 300 yards away from the scene, the actual seat of the explosion. Now, was this warning deliberately inaccurate because people who were evacuated from the courthouse were herded, or shepherded rather, down to the scene, inadvertently walking to their deaths? The police are in no doubt that it was deliberately misleading. The object was to cause carnage, to destabilise the peace process, and carnage certainly has been caused here.
Brendan Wright talking to us from Omagh, thank you very much. Eyewitnesses who were in the town this afternoon described some of the scenes immediately after the bomb went off.
One man was up looking for his sister they couldn't find, and just people running every road in panic, and blood, covered in blood and things. The police had taken away bodies and parts of bodies and police cars and Land Rovers, and one man, he was lifted a wee boy off, and the wee boy had no leg.
As I was going to the town, I seen an Ulster bus driver driving the bus, and the bus was loaded with casualties and taking them to the hospital, as I was on the hospital road. And I've seen various civilian vehicles, again with casualties in them, being buried as quickly as they get through the traffic.
We saw the smoke and then screaming, medical services, sirens, lots of people, in shock, tears, people panicking looking for loved ones they couldn't find, people injured, blood. It's awful.
I counted at least 15 bodies. That's dead, that's not counting the injured. They had to take the injured away in buses, vans, anything that we could get at the time. It's just incredible that could happen today, a day when a festival was to take part in this. What can you say about them? What can you say?